Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Gaurangi Bengalurishwara Gaurangi Bengalurishwara Gaurangi Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। व्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु और श्री श्री गौरंगा। जय श्री प्रभुपाद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया। भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। हरि ओम तत्सत। Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today I have been instructed to take up 14th chapter, which is from the fourth canto, which is status quo, and 14th chapter is entitled The Story of King Vena. And in that I am supposed to discuss verse number 45. Keep that as the base verse and then discuss from 42 to 46. So this is the expectation. So let's chant verse number 45 to, the whole thing, and then 42 to 46 I will read the translation. So verse number 45, 4th canto, 14th chapter. Tam, can you all repeat? Tam, tu, te, avanatam, deenam, kim, karomiti, vadinam, nishiddeti, abravamstata, sa, nisadas, tato, abhavat, tam tu te avanatam deenam, kim karomiti vadinam, nisidheti abruvamstata tata, sa nisadas tato abravat, tam tu te avanatam deenam, kim karomiti vadinam, nisidheti abravamstata, sa nisadas tato abravat, tam tu te avanatam deenam kim karomiti vadinam nisideti abravam stata sa nisadastato abravat. So devotees can chant. Tam tu te avanatam deenam kim karomiti vadinam nisideti abruvam stata sa nisadastato abhavat. Tam tu te vanatam deenam kim karomiti vadinam nisidheti abruvam stata sa nisadastato abhavat. Tam, onto him, tu, then, te, the sages, avanatam, bow down, deenam, meek, kim, what, karomi, shall I do, iti, thus, vadinam, inquiring, nisida, just sit down, iti, thus, abravam, they replied, tata, my dear Vidhura, sa, he, nisadaha, of the name Nisada, tataha, therefore, abravat, became. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You can repeat the translation after me. He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth he bowed down and inquired, sirs, what shall I do? The great sages replied, please sit down, Nisida. Thus Nisada, the father of the Nisada race, was born. Purport. It is said in the Shastras the head of the body represents the Brahmanas, the arms represents the Kshatriyas, the abdomen represents the Vaishyas, and the legs beginning with the thighs represents the Sudras. The Shudras are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Shukla or white, and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are a mixture of black and white. However, those who are extraordinarily white are said to have a skin produced out of white leprosy. It may be concluded that white or a golden hue is the color of the higher caste and black is the complexion of the Shudras. We will read the translation from verse number 42 as well to get a context. Verse number 42. The sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly king Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. 43. After making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. 44. This person born from King Vena's thighs was named Bahuka, and his complexion was so black as a crow's. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper colored. Then the verse that we are discussing, 45, let's read that for continuity's sake. He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, sirs, what shall I do? The great sages replied, please sit down, Nisida. Thus Nisada, the father of the Nisada race, was born. Verse number 46. After his Nisada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nisada class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Udmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Sva Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vranda Vaneshwari Rishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this chapter is called the story of King Vena. So we all know Srimad Bhagavatam. This is originally spoken by Vyasadeva originally to his son, and while he was speaking to a king, some other person heard that one, and then he actually spoke this in another place called Naimisharanya, and he is narrating many incidences like that, and as part of the incidents in the story means the history of what was happening. He was narrating the history. At that point in time, he was talking about the history of Vidhura, who was the uncle of the Pandavas, and he was talking about the what do you call the yatra, the spiritual yatra of Vidhura, because he did not. He was during the time of the war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Vidhura was insulted, and Vidhura felt, there's no point in me being here. He was actually the uncle of the Kauravas, and he was a kind of a minister there, and he was trying to give good advice. But unfortunately, the Kauravas were not ready to listen to them, and they insulted him. They spoke very harsh words. As a result, Vidhura got very, he felt, what is the point of trying to be here and make good counsel to these demoniac people. So let me just go on my pilgrimage, and in the process he's a pure devotee of the Lord, and let me go and preach to people who will hear me. So something like that. So he started going out and visiting many places, and was also in the process trying to see, he is already a realized person, but then that also goes to show, right from Krishna, Krishna himself accepted a spiritual master. Like, if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why he needs a spiritual master, but that is also to show the way, and therefore Vidhura followed in the footsteps, and he accepted Maitreya Muni as a spiritual master. So whatever we are hearing today is actually a conversation between this Maitreya Muni and Vidhura, as said by the other sage who heard it from another sage. So this goes on like this, the parampara system. So now in this conversation, Vidhura is very keen to understand so many things. Like, he keeps on asking questions. Actually, spiritual life is all about inquiry, right? Hearing, we say, hearing, yes, hearing and then inquiring. Hearing and inquiring deeper and deeper and deeper, we understand better. Then our knowledge opens up and our realization dawns on us. And Vidhur is a very good example. He asks many inquiries to Maitreya Muni. Arjuna also, like, no, he's not simply saying, okay, fine, Krishna, whatever you say. He says finally, whatever you say, I accept. But then he asks thousands of questions, in the process to understand what Krishna is saying. Krishna is saying the truth, and I'm not doubting that, but I don't know. I don't have the ability to understand what he's saying, right? Whether did I understand it correctly? Sometimes when we say, I say that, and then I say, is that okay? Then you say back. Then whether I am able to understand what you understood. So this is a way of communication. Communication is actually very important. Many people have a one-way communication. They simply say what they want to say without realizing what the other person, whether he got it or he did not get it. This is a very important skill, and particularly in today's world, people are all very highly educated, but they are not able to take the people along with them because their communication skill is very much lacking. That means they are not able to communicate what they actually wanted to say to the other person and get the specific response. That means he is not conveyed, then how will he respond in a proper way? But if you see, spiritual life is about getting a good understanding of what is what, not simply just someone saying something, but trying to go deeper and say, is this what you meant? Is this how it is? How do I understand this? These questions keep coming again and again. So Arjuna set a very good example, and here we are also seeing Vidhura actually asking many questions to Maitreya Muni, and Maitreya Muni, also being a very realized person, gives very wonderful examples. So as a part of this story of, of this history of Vidhura listening from Maitreya Muni, and with his deep inquiry, he is asking about many things. He asks not only about devotees, he also asks about demoniac people. What is this? Bhagavatam is supposed to be about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why should we know about so many other things? This is all immaterial for me. Many times, we feel like that. When you see a lot of Bhagavatam classes, no, but this is not very material. This is not very important for us. We think, right? Oh, why there's no talk about Krishna? It's artificial. Thinking like this, oh, no, I'm such a great devotee, I should only be hearing about Krishna. That is superficial platform. But to know under the depth of the whole thing, otherwise why is Vidhura asking about Vena? Right? The most demoniac person in the entire universe, like Hiranyakashipu, those kind of people, and he is very keen to know how is it that this, what is his life? I want to understand about him. Because there is a lesson, right? See, basically, it's easy to know from what we are than from knowing what someone else is. So we all have so much of demoniac nature in us, and it is easy to understand why he is behaving, another demon behaves like that. And from that, when you try to understand, then we can draw parallels. Yes, I can relate to this, I can relate to this. And then we can come back to this point, how this demon was reformed, and therefore how I have an opportunity to get reformed also. There's so many things like this, but rather than simply keeping very superficial, not to talk about the great personalities, that's okay. I don't want to get Shri Gaurangi Bengaluru Shri Jagannath Baladev Devi Shubhadra Mai ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Narsimhadev Bhavan ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai. So this is important, that we need to understand deeply rather than superficially. And therefore every verse in Bhagavatam, whether it directly speaks about Krishna, directly it speaks about a particular great devotee, even from so many other instances there is a learning. Otherwise Bhagavatam there is nothing for useless thing in Srimad Bhagavatam. That you should take it for granted. There is not one word in Srimad Bhagavatam which is useless, that I can just skip it away. So you will find many verses where there is prayers by the many personalities. If you see, everything looks the same. Oh, okay, oh, so Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are this, you are that, I have heard this so many times. Fine, you have heard, but did you realize that? So this Prabhupada once is saying, I was going through one of those things where Prabhupada is saying, see, when you are actually coming to that, when you are really seeing the Lord, and when you are having this ecstasy, you tend to repeat. And that is natural. So it's not, this repetition is not something which is a fault. Sometimes we say it's a flaw in Bhagavatam, why the same thing is being repeated. Brahma, how many times he says the same thing? But you should understand, every time he sees Krishna, he goes into this ecstasy and all of these things come, because even you and I in our own experience, when you are in some kind of a very elated mode, you keep on, Prabhu, this was so nice, Prabhu, this was so nice. How many times did you say the same thing here? Because that is the emotion that you are going through, and because of that you are actually saying that. So now Prabhupada says this is very logical, and Bhagavatam is perfect analogy of how psychology works and all that. Therefore accept it as perfect knowledge. So like this, so when something spoken about this Vena, okay, why all this, already I am so bad, why are you teaching me more bad things? To give me comfort that no, you are a rascal, but you see a bigger rascal is there, no problem, you become even bigger rascal. So is that an inspiration that I learned from Vena? But then the idea is to understand, okay, I can go on in this line and I can become bigger and bigger and bigger rascal, but there's no point. Ultimately I have to come back to this plane. And that is the knowledge that is coming through this understanding of the history of what is happening. So here what has happened is Dhruva Maharaj it starts from that point of Dhruva Maharaj. We all know is such a great devotee of the Lord, and then in the course of time what happens in his family, that is being discussed here. Then who's Dhruva Maharaj's son, and then what happened to him, and then his son. So that's a big, many things are covered, many generations, that family tree has been described very nicely. And after that it comes to a point of Vena's father's, I forget his name, anyone remember? I don't know. Anga, yeah. They come and elaborate a little bit on that personality, and he says this personality had no children, and any king, what is the purpose of having a kingdom? Then there should be a progeny who will actually take care of the thing. Any grahastha, he should have a son. The marriage itself is useless if we don't have a son. Right? In the purpose of a marriage is to have the progeny, so that this ability to bring one's soul into this material world, so that he can progress further into the spiritual journey. So this is the purpose of marriage, and therefore he is feeling very deprived. Oh, why it is not happening to me? Then he performs a wonderful yajna, and as a result of that yajna, nobody comes. The yajna, what is supposed to happen? You do a yajna and the devatas are supposed to come out of it. Have you all seen devatas coming out from an yajna? We don't see this. Kali Yuga, nobody comes. Right? In those times, if a yajna is performed, the person will actually come. It's like now I invite you, today I have been invited to come and give a class, I'm supposed to come here, right? I can't say, then you will take an insult, right? I called him and he never came. And there it becomes such a thing, I called him. And they are capable of pronouncing in a nice manner that these persons are bound to come. So he tried to do a yajna like that, Ashwamedha yajna, and then all the great saintly persons who performed, they come and say, Prabhuji, we did perfectly, but the devatas did not come. They have not accepted our yajna. So he feels very depressed. What is this? Have I such a sinner that what did I do? He asked them, what did I do? And then they say, actually, they are all expert in everything. They just look like horoscope, Baba, there is nothing wrong with you in this life, but you have messed up in the previous life. You have done some sinful activities in your previous life. As a result of that, your effort now is not bringing results. So then they say, okay, no problem. Because if there is no solution, there is no point at all. No, in life, if ever anybody comes to the thinking, okay, I've hit a dead end, there's a roadblock, then actually you should understand, then you have not understood the whole thing, because the life itself is supposed to be going in a particular journey, and there is no stopping this. Right? The journey of the soul, nowhere you will come to a dead end. Oh, I am now come to the dead end, now everything is doomed, let me commit suicide. No. There is nothing like that. The idea is this place is created for you to move, and there is no stopping places. Sometimes in highway they put no stopping in between. In that highway you are not supposed to stop. Like this life also you are not supposed to stop. You should just keep on going. While coming I was listening to a Prabhupada lecture. He was saying, the sleeping is a waste of time. You sleep for some, he was talking about, that class was about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's father. My memory on names goes away sometimes, That's why earlier also I didn't take names, if you remember. Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So he was talking about his appearance. At that time he was saying he was sleeping 2 hours and he was talking about the Goswamis. They never slept and Prabhupada himself never slept. So he was saying it's a waste of time. So why I am bringing this context is, this life in this material world is not simply supposed to be slept and wasted or stopped and say, oh, I have hit a roadblock, now there's nothing. No. So there is a lesson in that. So therefore, he is, they are saying, so don't worry if the Devatas didn't come, let's pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate one who gives directions for everybody. So let us pray to him, and then they pray to him, and then he gets one son. Now, the Supreme Lord himself has given this boon. So you immediately expect, oh, I should have a Prahalad Maharaj as my son, right? So, and who came? Vena came. Okay, so what's so great about Vena, right? So this guy, even as a small child, he'll be playing with his friends. All of us do. You sometimes get into a disagreement with one of your friend. What do we at the most say? Like we may say some harsh words, or we may disassociate, or we will show a face which is little hurting to him, something like that. This guy's minimum thing is he will kill him. That's all, over. That is only as a child. Father is a king. We know now, today we see so many of these kind of spoiled brats, right? They go on in their car, they dash somewhere, they get down to Dadagiri, they just walk away, right? So he killed so many people on the platform, so many things happen. So this boy was even more than all of that, okay, I will kill you. And nothing can be done. And his father tried to give him so many punishments to correct him, nothing happened. As a result, father got very upset and he got realization, self-realization. He said, this is a waste of time pursuing all this nonsense. Let me leave all these things and go and take serious note of my spiritual life. And he is the king. Such a huge, big king, he struggled so much to get a son, and then he says that all effort in this material world beyond a point, you can keep on trying to perfect all these things, nothing will be perfect. So let me leave. Overnight, he didn't tell anybody, he just walked off to the forest. Then everybody is searching, where is king, no king is there. Then the ministers, everybody, the kingdom cannot be left like that, right? So immediately some alternate has to be arranged. So the Brahmanas there, they take a decision. Okay, let me coronate this rascal as the king. Because king has to be there, and at that time when this king left, immediately there is so much commotion, all the elements, the thieves and all the people started exploiting the society. So the Brahmana, why you simply do pujari work, you do your spiritual realization, why are you putting your nose into politics? Right? Brahmanas are supposed to be very sober, does not interfere in anything, whatever, okay, if people are fighting, you keep fighting, I will keep my doing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram. That's the expectation of a Brahmana, but a Brahmana cannot be like that also. If he is so careless about these kind of things, then his Brahmanical power comes down. That is written here, I am not saying, Bhagavatam is saying, if you read the previous verses. So they needed to actually take cognizance of what is happening around them and act in some form and shape. Sometimes there's a message in all of us also. So many things may be happening, not that he immediately become an activist and then go on doing so many things, but then there are so many things in our own purview which may not be in a right where, how can I help? If you have that nice good quality, why don't you give that quality, share that knowledge so that people are able to make things better for themselves. That's how a Brahmana thinks. So these Brahmanas therefore decided, okay, let us coronate this person, and when he became king, all the things settled down in one sense, because see, he is the biggest thief. When the biggest thief are there, smaller thieves will get worried. They will shut up. The Dada is there, the Don is there, the smaller thieves will all become little quiet because they are worried. If I just show my whatever, he will attack, he will put me in place. So there was happening. But at the same time, he became completely let loose. And he was doing so much abominable things that he started claiming, I am God myself. And he was telling these Brahmanas who nominated him as the king, saying, why are you wasting your time doing this yajna? You just do this yajna for me. I am just like Hiranyakashipu, all this Ravana. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am Vishnu. There is nothing called Vishnu. I am God. So you please do this. So they got agitated. Hey, what is this? So by just chanting mantras, they killed him. They are very powerful. They don't need any weapons. They simply chanted a few mantras and said, if that is your thing, we will show you your place. So he was immediately killed. So the sections that we are reading is in relation to what happened after that. So after he was killed, his mother Suniti, she preserved the body. We talk about preservation of bodies today. They did that time only. She both with mantras and with some elements, that is written like that. She preserved the body with some mantras and with some material things like this. So then again, nobody is there. What to do now? So that is where this question is coming. What the rishis did, 42 verse that we will go through this. The 42 verse onwards, we will try to quickly understand. He highlights what Prabhupada was trying to make in these verses. So the great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and that is the earlier one. 42. The sages decided that the descendants of the family of saintly King Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. So they are thinking, so this is Dhruva Maharaj's lineage, right? Now in this unfortunate or fortunate for his father, this Vena came. Because of this Vena, his father actually was able to go towards this self-realization very fast. So this, still that progeny is coming in this body. Now he doesn't have an offspring and therefore this is going to be cut. Now how do we address this thing? So there Prabhupada is talking about this, the purity of hereditary succession is called Amoga Virya. Therefore it is very important that the purity of every individual needs to be maintained. If you are able to maintain that and if you keep purifying your consciousness higher and higher and higher, in the process, you become a very potent weapon for propagating the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not by my ability to speak nicely that I can actually make Krishna conscious people. Only by my purity that I can make people oh yes, Krishna consciousness is important. If someone is to feel, it is not by my jugglery of my words. Right? Many times, I gave a wonderful class. That's fine. That is nice. That's so many material people also do. But are you able to impregnate Krishna into the heart of that jiva? Because that is the journey of the soul, right? Why am I here? What is the purpose? That we will see even in the 46th verse. Why am I here? So that portion of it is very important and therefore the purity is very important, and it says when the bodies are generated, therefore before the impregnation of the womb of the women, the samskara has to be done, which is Garbha Dana Samskara. This is very important, and particularly for the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, this is very important. And when the purificatory process is done, not just as a ritual, but it's a consciousness, right? It's not just about that particular day I perform the Garbhastana Samskara and then I impregnate and then that's all over. It's not like that. It's a continuous improvement process. We call it CAP in corporate world, right? So like that. So now such a lineage actually becomes very strong in everything, being in their material purity, in their spiritual purity, and they are in a position to lead the common man. This is basic knowledge. When that is the situation, then how did Vena become like this? That Prabhupada is explaining in this verse. He's saying, because Dhruva Maharaj, that's a purity, and his father we saw Anga, and many like that. Then how come he became? Then he says, he married this lady called Suniti, who is the daughter of death personified. I don't know if it is Yamaraj, but Yamaraj is not considered negative. Vidhura is an incarnation of Yamaraj. That doesn't mean, he's a bad element. So here, death personified
Krishna is also death personified. We all know. So is Krishna bad? But this is another. See, there is the cosmic has got so many complications. We cannot understand everything like that. At least I could not understand who is this death personified. But here he is been given portrayed as a negative character. So his daughter Suniti is in that sense not pure. Now this is little difficult to understand. Don't try to understand this in a very materialistic way. Right? You add a little bit of what you call in milk, you add a little bit of a curd, it gets contaminated. Oh, is it contamination? We all want curd. But the word used is contamination. Right? So understand it in that spirit, but there is a quality reduction which happens in the material body. Understand this, which happens in the material body, and as a result, that generation has got actually a polluted, and as a result of which that the progeny which is coming is also polluted. So there, so sometimes it's important, from a body perspective. So today we are actually talking, if you don't directly, understand it in a very, this one, it's one for devotees, that will come to that later. But generally today, earlier days, if you see when they do marriage, they will be marrying people they will see the Jataka, and then they will also see from which family we will take the girl, from the boy, which boy's family we will give the, why did they do this? This is the reason. There has to be a good match between the two personalities in terms of their consciousness, in terms of their upbringing. If you mix two completely opposite in different ways, then the progeny will be in a very bad state of affairs. And why it is important? Because you are polluting the environment in which the entire entities are living here. This place is one, we say now one earth. This is one place where so many people are actually coexisting. And if I am irresponsible to create some disturbance here, then the entire Jiva's journey towards that self-realization is cut off. It's a big hindrance, right? Sometimes we don't even realize that we are being trouble to others. Right? If you take Jagannath Rath Yatra on the road, people feel, hey, why you are blocking the traffic? People are so upset. What they don't realize is, by their general behavior of completely godlessness, they are obstructing the entire humanity from progressing. There's a big traffic jam in the humanity, in the entire entity's journey towards further journey. They are blocking it, but they are blissfully ignorant. They say, no, my thing is very important. I have to go to this club, and this Jagannath Rath Yatra is stopping me from going to the mall. And they use abusive language. I have seen many times. You fellows don't have common sense. You are look like educated. You are not educated. See, you are blocking the traffic. Sorry, sir, but what are you so urgently going for? I have to go to this mall for this movie. That is his logic. So they are completely demoniac in nature. But the point is that we need to be mindful about how we create life here, so that they are also mindful of everybody else, and can they contribute in some form in taking the generations forward in a spiritual way. So that was lacking, and as a result of it, because of this wrong combination between Suniti and this Vena's father, Anga, this situation happened and created calamity for so many people. So many people were killed, and then that means if I am killed, my journey is stopped, and then I have to wait for next womb when it is available, and then I have to be there for so many difficulty to be inside that womb for so many hundreds of years, whatever number of years. Elephant means, 2-3 years. Human means 8-9 months. Elephant baby means you take more time to form fully. Then you are stuck inside that womb for 3 years or something like that. So it's not easy, right? Somewhere else I was reading about how difficult it is to sit inside the womb of a mother. Very, very difficult. One side urine, one side pus, one side motion, the smell, and all the bacteria which are actually eating away everything, tender skin of the child, and then you're eating. So it's not easy. And that fellow has to go through all of this again to come to where he stopped earlier. So this is very important, and therefore that Vena was creating so much of commotion. So that Prabhupada is discussing this particular point in this 42nd verse. Then 43rd verse, please saying, see the specific word, Suniti became contaminated in association with his wife Suniti, who happened to be the daughter of Death personified. Because of this polluted semen, King Vena was produced. This was a catastrophe in the family of Dhruva Maharaj. So this is what I was trying to explain in detail. Next one is, after making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. Now this is, what do you call this? Churning the thigh and then one body comes out of that. So we'll say, no, hey, what are you talking? Right? Maybe you would have said this before you produced one. What do you call that? Test tube baby. Huh? Or even now they are producing from the tissue of an animal, another animal, which cloning they call it. It looks exactly like that. Now you will say, yes, maybe Bhagavatam makes sense. Earlier we would have said, no, Bhagavatam is all full, what do you call this? Mythology. Mythology, right? That it's all stories, all someone's imagination. But actually Bhagavatam is perfection. Okay, someone spoke this in something like this in a science, this one, and then every media started telling, oh, these fellows are actually, saying. But the fact is that this is truth, and science is actually to be proved with this base knowledge. This is what Prabhupada is saying. See, one way of defining science is, the way we are defining science at least is that, anything which is disconnected from Krishna is considered as science. But when anything is connected with Krishna is not considered as science, because that is considered as mythology. So they want to be disconnected and then they are saying that is the truth. There was one lecture where I was hearing. So the basis of science in different areas are there, but one area is being talked, the creation of this entire universe, they call it as Big Bang, right? All of you or many of you may be highly educated, right? IIT and things like that. But you accept, yes, Big Bang. That's a theory. Let's start from there. Right? But what is the logic here? You are so systematic, you want the cause effect, everything nicely, then where is the question of Big Bang? But you are very convinced, you means not you. I'm saying the educated so-called scientist world is very convinced that yes, this is a Big Bang. And they are trying to give reasons to make us believe this is the truth. And then this Darwin, Prabhupada, these are all discussed by Prabhupada in some, in related here. That's why I'm talking this. So this Darwin said something that, your grandfather was a monkey. Right? We accepted, yeah, very nice, my grandfather is a monkey. Right? We're so proud to say that. Many people, say, yeah. Then you're a monkey, yeah? Then, no, that you are not ready to accept, but you say, my grandfather is a monkey. Such an insult. Then where is this Bharadwaja, Vishwamitra, Kaushika, all these Gotra that we call about? But why you... So, but we are accepting these kind of things. That's why I saw one of the Maharaj while he was speaking. See, we also call Big Bang. But that Big Bang is Vishnu looking at the material world, material, Mother Nature. Immediately, bang, comes the creation. But this is logical. There's a clear cause-effect relationship. There is a very systematic person who is causing this to happen. And we have also explained, therefore, what is the beginning of that beginning? Clearly, we have explained that beginning has no beginning. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There is perfect logic, perfect science. But this where they start off with some mythology, which means which does not have a beginning to substantiate what you are saying. They are starting from somewhere in between, and we accept that as science. But we start from the beginning, even though that beginning has no beginning. How beautiful it is, Bhagavatam. Perfect logic, right? There is no beginning to him, but we are able to clearly say that is actually the beginning. You can argue whichever way, but there is a pure logic in what we are saying. This is science. So now, so in that sense, this body coming out of a dead body. So that is mentioned, and they have also mentioned that body is still not lost the propensity to produce another body because it was preserved nicely by the mantras and the whatever material elements were there. Just like we put things in our fridge and use it for 1 week. Why? We believe the ingredients are all there. It is not decomposed or whatever. So there is some science, so-called science. Here also the science is there. That body has not lost its ability to produce life, and therefore, and Prabhupada is also talking here that therefore you have to understand that it is the body is just created based on the soul which is coming and ready to reside inside that body. That Vena, why can't the rishis bring back Vena then? Okay, we made a mistake, we killed this fellow, let us bring him back. Which the Lord can do. Like when Balram, he touched that rishi with the grass, right? What is the rishi's name? Romaharshana. He touched him with his grass and then he fell dead. The Munis and all, oh, what is this? He was supposed to be our leader in this entire, I think he died. Okay, do you want me to bring him back? Balram asked this question. No, it's okay. Whatever you have done, there is no question of anything wrong with it. That is perfect. So we don't want him to come back. What shall we do now? Then he said, okay, I will empower his son with the same power. Now that is how the thing. But the point is, the Lord can do this. But the Munis didn't have the power to bring him back because that Jiva is already gone and he's already taken the resultant of his actions and he's gone into another womb. Such a powerful demon, but still his fate is not in his hand. He called himself, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now you go inside another womb. Whatever, that is Patala, wherever, like that. But then in spite of it, but they had the signs of the material things. From this body, we will create a body, but it is the Lord's mercy that He will send a soul inside that body. That is how your cloning and all is working. If you want to understand how it is working, it needs a material thing, but there is a spiritual injunction which needs to happen, and that can happen only by the spiritual potency, and which comes from the source is the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is very important. So now, in this way, the body is created. Now when they are churning the thigh, a guy who comes they have given that description, that is there in the next verse. This person born from King Vena's thigh was named Bahuka, and in his complexion was as black as a crow. All the limbs of his body were very short, his arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large, his nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper color. So this nice, very beautiful description, is it so handsome guy? Right? Such a nasty person, physically, don't look at it thing. But then, that came from the leg. And Prabhupada is also talking, the head represents the Brahmana, the arms represent the Kshatriya, then the legs from the thigh starting down represent the Shudras. Again, it's not caste system. Okay, I don't know, it will take one more class for me on this, that's a different thing. But I'm at least stating clearly that this is not caste system that we are talking. But here the logic is, the Vena is a very sinful person. Now you are trying to get a progeny from that person. How he will be more sinful. But then therefore, but that's supposed to be the ruler also. So now there's a complicated matter here. How do you solve this thing? So first take out the sin out of him by churning the thigh. That represents all the lower mindset, right? With that you take it out and then you create a personality, and that person became the sin personified. You will see later in the next verses, which will happen in the next chapter, then they churn again and bring out the actual progeny from the body of Dhruva Maharaj's family tree. So they are very beautiful, intelligent, even though the Brahmanas did a mistake in the beginning in one sense, but they made up for it by doing this. So this fellow came out and he sin personified of Vena's sins personified. And what was he? And the specific verse 45 I was discussing is, he comes out and he submissively says, sir, what shall I do? Prabhupada writes, sir, what shall I do? That mindset is that of that Shudra. How can I help you? Right? Now here it's a little bit of a thing. So actually,
A Shudra means also, it's a very powerful personality. Today actually, if you see many of us, at least I can call myself, in a materialistic sense, if we see ourselves, we are even lower than Shudras. The qualification of a Shudra is there. If we see they are very loyal, how many of us are really loyal? Even as I am speaking, I am saying how I can dig your grave. And in so many subtle ways, right? What is he thinking? When you think like that also, you are already digging his grave. What is he thinking of himself? You think like that, immediately you are actually trying to not being loyal to him, someone you are interacting with. So it's a very, very pure state. So the four classes are very pure. Varnashrama dharma, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, they are actually very pure. Below that is actually the adharmic kind of things, is all everything starts. So don't take that, oh, Shudra means bad. No. They are actually persons who are actually going towards self-realization, but I am not having that spiritual awakening yet, so I am trying to. So this is about the consciousness, not about your birth or caste system. I voluntarily accept, Baba, my journey is to go further, not to be caught up in this material world, but I am lacking in that knowledge. How can I, you seem to be having the knowledge, therefore how can I help you, and you please guide me, and so that I goes forward. That's the mindset which we are talking about. And this fellow actually comes and says, how can I serve you? He comes and asks this. But see, there are two things here. When you talk about a lineage, there are two things. One which comes from the physical body, which I have no control over. I cannot choose my parents. And what I have done in the past, I cannot change it now. As a result of my previous activity and in a combination of my that karma and the person who is going to bring me up further, I get a father, mother. As a result, I come and take birth. And whatever has given to me, I take it for granted. I don't try to change anything there. You can try to change, it's a waste of time. Oh, my nose has become like this, let me try to do on surgery and get it right. My lip has to be little up like this. You can do all that. What is the point? Now, but what we should also understand is, that is something which comes with our baggage. And that has its own nature, that has its own limitation. You can't make a donkey a horse. They say that, right? Today we call everybody's horse. But actually that is not true. Then why everybody is not CEO? Why you have clerks in the office? Oh no, he is also CEO material, but today he is clerk. Don't accept that fellow's capacity is only clerk. And that is because of the biological whatever, the karma. There's a combination of these two things. And I mean, the brain is there for all living entities, but the brain capability is not the same for all living entities. If you say all humans are equal, then you should also say all living entities are equal from a body perspective. You say no, dog has only this much intelligence, crow is slightly more intelligent. They say no, a crow has got more intelligence, there are different animals which have got different. Then why are they all not equally as intelligent as you are? There is the capacity of the brain. It's a machine. A machine has got certain RAM, whatever you call it. The AI built into it is only so much. Beyond this, it cannot progress. So it hits its limit. Now that way, so there is so much progress I can do with the material body, whatever I can move forward. Therefore, if you see sometimes, these people have a good lineage, means if they have that, you will see how their behavior, so many things will be there. And they say, how it is upbringing. But that has a distinct advantage. If you have a good upbringing, please use it properly. You understand? I can say, no, I can feel jealous, I can feel, why it is, he cannot be like this and all that. But that is by nature given to him, you accept that. One side of it. But the other side of it is, as I said, these are like, if I have to go down, I have to walk from here to go down. There's no other thing for me. I have to go through this process of movement from here to there. I cannot manifest suddenly there. That's a reality. This is in terms of the
physical development of the physical progress if you are trying to do, there is a limitation. Then the other one is the progeny, which is not by this physical bodily thing, but by the way of accepting a spiritual master. That means, as a soul, I can actually become the son of an elevated personality. That is what we take initiation. That means you have become the son of so and so. I am now son of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj. My biological lineage is another thing. But my spiritual lineage is this one, grandson of Srila Prabhupada. Now, is this birth nice or not? Personally, I may be of a low qualified family, whatever, low birth family, whatever. Because that is a limitation which I cannot forget, I can't do much about it. There is a limiting factor. But this one, Krishna has given this highway. Okay, whatever you are, that is the next verse. Whatever you are, don't bother. If you take up to this process of devotional service, then all of these things are actually immaterial, because you are a soul platform. This material body is because you chose to, leave the spiritual world and come out of reality and live in an illusionary life. And in that illusionary life, it has got its own set of issues. But the purpose is not to go through this illusionary things. No, the purpose is actually to get out of this mess and go back to Godhead, or go back to the truth, the reality. And therefore, this ability that, it doesn't matter what physical form you have got, you are an animal, you are a 4 lakh species of human beings are there, not all are equal. 4th lakh human being will be very close to the animal. That way Darwin is correct, evolution. Evolution of the soul, not evolution of the body. Now, if I am slightly lower in my consciousness, then I will take its time in a physical strength, then I will perform some kind of karma in relation to my evolution. Accordingly, I will get another body, which among that 8.4 million. But then from there I will progress little bit, I will come. This is Bhavanam Janmanam Ante Jnanaman Mam Prapadyante. But Krishna is saying, okay, you want to go that route, it's very troublesome. But you accept an Acharya. Take birth spiritually from a soul platform. Immediately you become very highly elevated and you transcend the Varnashrama and you actually become a Vaishnava. That is what is discussed in the 46th verse. Okay. After his Nishada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishada class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests. Again, so this is basically the nature of my nature. See, if I use certain words, it is sort of ingrained in me. I will continue to use those words. You understand that, right? They say, no, old habits die hard. So, if I have got purva karma of thievery, whatever nonsense I have been doing, even though I want to correct myself, these things will not leave me so fast. Arjuna is asking, no, I don't want to commit sin by Krishna, but why am I being forced to commit sins? Understand, there's a subtle thing. So, this transformation cannot happen overnight. I am trying, but then I am falling back into the mess. This is nature. You can fight. That's why I said, if you get a high lineage or whatever good upbringing, use it. There are people struggling with so many things. I want to leave my smoking. No, I'm not able to. You have a good upbringing, you have never touched a cigarette in the beginning, be happy with that. And also feel merciful for the other guy, very sorry that he is caught into that situation, that, and not, I am now, so great, Sometimes we say, I have never touched, we speak like this, but we say, I am so fortunate, I did not get an opportunity to touch it. But this guy is suffering like this, how can I help him? This is the mood of a Vaishnava. So here, Prabhupada is saying, therefore, even though this is the material situation, that you are actually so fallen and all of these things, but if you take to devotional service, your birth does not matter. Prabhupada in the commentary of this, he writes this, he takes this particular word, Mam hi partha Triya, ye api syu papa yonayaho striyo vaishnavas tata shudras te api yanti param gatim. And translation is, O son of Partha, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. So that is the logic. So while whatever I discussed in elaboration about our natural birth and all these things, we should not get depressed. Maybe there is some truth, maybe there is some truth, maybe there is not, I don't know. I mean, in today's world, we want to believe there is no truth in that. But so be it. Let us believe that way only, because in Kali Yuga, everybody is born Shudra. That is also there. Because there is no upbringing, there is nothing. So that's fine, but point is, but spiritually, as a soul, we have an opportunity to quickly move forward. And this Prabhupada today, by chance I was hearing this class, but Prabhupada was saying, glorifying Bhakti Vinod Thakur. That time he was saying how he made, and he says, an Acharya comes once in a while, but everybody is in the line of succession, spiritual succession. He talks about, he says he's an Acharya, but he was giving that example like that from Krishna it came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Bhakti Vinod Thakur came, then Bhakti Siddhanta says, and then ourselves, and then my disciples, like that he says. And he says, in between there is an Acharya who will come. And our job is to simply take instruction from the Acharya. Interpretation Acharya can give, but we have to simply repeat. That also he mentioned. So, I mean, everybody in the succession will have to repeat, but an Acharya will give some lot elaborated commentary. So that way we can understand this. So this is very important that, if you take to this process of devotional service through the proper authorized Acharya and this bona fide representatives, then we transcend this progeny, this whatever, this lineage, all that we discussed, and we can immediately reach our ultimate objective. And we should also be not looking at people, looking at their background, oh, you are Brahmana, you are Kshatriya or Vaishya, if you become a devotee. This is important. And sometimes we should also remember these things also pull us down because of our Purva, Janma, and all these vasanas are there. I may act in that impulse, but that does not take anything away from you. That is the other point which I wanted to highlight. Yeah, you will find some weakness among devotees. Because of their conditioning, there may be some faults which you may apparently see, but Prabhupada says they are not faults. Ignore them. You are nobody to comment on that. You are nobody to point that out. That is not your job. If you are his authority, in an intent to help him, you may do that. That's a way for all of that. Not that everybody has to start pointing fingers at everybody else. That is not going to help anybody. That is important. And in the process, we are actually immediately having the pathway to progress and go back to Godhead. So I will end here. If there are any questions, comments, then we can discuss.
You explained there is always continuous evolution in consciousness. And if someone is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, that depends on his consciousness. So, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Paradharma Bhayava means if your consciousness is like a Shudra and you are taking the work of Brahmana, then it is Bhayava.
Yes.
So, for example, if someone's consciousness for now is like a Shudra, but consciousness evolves, and then he develops some qualities like a Brahmana. And then further after some birth, consciousness evolves and he develops some Kshatriya qualities. Then his consciousness always evolving and he is developing different qualities. So when he has Brahmana quality, other things are Paradharma for him, and Brahmana Karma is Swadharma for him.
Yes.
So how we can understand this process?
Yes. See, as I said, a cat is a cat, a dog is a dog. Each one has a role to play. So according to your consciousness, you are getting a birth in a related family in which that consciousness can be comfortable. But you cannot become stagnant because there is movement forward, because our purpose is that illusion and we need to get out of that illusion. Therefore, the journey has to be there, and in the process you are evolving, and the entire system, this Varna and Ashrama, they are actually helping you move forward. So if I am in that mindset of a Kshatriya, but I am inquiring from the higher conscious person, therefore, okay, this is all fine, I am very attached, I am more power, I want to be power hungry, I want to have this thing that, I am the only protector, all this mindset is there in me as a Kshatriya. But I'm trying to hear from another guy who is slightly aloof and who understands that, yes, all this is fine, but beyond that, I will also have to die and someone will become controller and therefore what to do? How do I, make sense of my existence? Then he learns from the other guy, and as he sees and practices what he is telling, slowly his consciousness will develop, he will become a Brahmana. But the idea is not simply to become a Shudra to Brahmana, Brahmana to Kshatriya, Kshatriya to the Sun, again from Brahmana you fall down into Shudra. This is not the idea. The idea is it is giving you a practical way of progressing, but the end result is to come to that understanding that, why am I here? And when you come to this platform and then come situated in that and then make that progress, then you become a Vaishnava. For a Vaishnava, there is no class called Brahmana, Kshatriya. He is above all of these four categories. So this, as I said, the mic means it will make sound. I can't say, hey, why are you making sound? That is the nature of that thing. So as a Brahmana, I have some nature, I have some quality, I will do that. As a Vaishya, I will do that. As a Kshatriya, I will do this. So that is the dharma, what you call it. But you need to transcend. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, please transcend above all of this, Arjuna. Right? But so we cannot be stuck in one, because it's at the end of the day, it's like fourth standard, fifth standard, whatever, the consciousness level, not the body level. Body can be whatever. Prabhupada is finally refuting all of these things. It doesn't matter what family you are, so caste is not material at all. Because but that definition is more from a bodily perspective, and that is nature. I have been conditioned like that, I will act like that. So that is dharma and all of that, beyond a point, but understand. That's why the Brahma Jnana, the Brahmana, his job is to actually give this knowledge. Baba, that's okay. This is the limitation of the body. You have all of these things. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam charanam vraja. Why is he saying that? That is true. That is natural. That will always pull you there. But slightly try to understand slightly better. While you do that, try to come above that and see this purpose, and then that will actually liberate you completely. At that point, this is all only to make some progress. This structure has been created, but the objective is not to do this subject. There is one small example I will give, and I will say when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was meeting with this minister, what's his name? The minister. They have a long discussion, no? Huh? No. Ramananda Rai. When he is meeting Ramananda Rai is actually materially very well established. He is a Kshatriya. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, please instruct me about this, he asked him many questions. Ramananda Rai was little uncomfortable to answer him. Why? Because he said, I am a Kshatriya, you are a sannyasi, and from a Brahmanical background. How can I instruct you? Logic, he is thinking. See, if Ramananda Rai is thinking like that, you understand there is something to do with this physical bodily way of thinking, right? Even Namacharya Haridas Thakur, he felt, I will not enter. Not that today we put a board, Muslims cannot enter into the temple. But he said, I will not go in because I am low. He is feeling in his consciousness that way. I mean, he is highly elevated, but he is feeling. So he said, I will not go. So here, like this, when he said, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what? Why you are thinking that I am a Kshatriya, I am a thing? He said, knowledge about Krishna is the highest thing. And he is qualified. What is that? He said, Kibe Vipra, Kibe Shudra. What is that? So he's saying it doesn't matter whether you are a Brahmana, you are a Kshatriya, you are a Vaishya, whatever you are, but if you are having knowledge of Krishna, if you know the science of Krishna, then you are a guru. So he's encouraging him, you come, talk about this, I am ready to listen from you. So here, that second talk, one is the physical progeny, which is nothing much to discuss, but the other progeny, which is taking birth through the what do you call, the self-realized souls, that is very potent, and our objective is actually to go towards that. I have no choice here. Whatever qualities I have imbibed, I will do. Whatever my environment has given me, I am what I am, that one only. Right? If I was born in a corrupt environment, I am having more prone to corrupt practices. I mean, I am trying, but then this is what it is. So don't give too much weightage to that. That's okay, fine. Krishna says, my devotee, even if he's a thief, he's a pure devotee, he's saying. So you understand that, because there's a limitation to that. So that doesn't mean I will continue to commit crime. I am trying to reform. But Krishna says, I will ensure that he will become perfect. That responsibility is with Krishna, but you have to try sincerely doing what you have to do. So that is important. That makes sense, bro. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I may have said some things which is not maybe relevant or little out of context. But again, I am also having my whatever, conditioning. So please forgive me for that. If you got something good, Prabhupada's mercy. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, brother. Thanks, Vidhur, for bringing so many lessons from Venus. Very nice to hear from Prabhuji. Even though Prabhuji is very senior, he practices very sincerely. And he is the example for so many brothers and devotees also. And let us express our gratitude by loudly chanting.